Imagine typing a sentence and instantly generating a full 60-second high-definition virtual world, not on a massive server farm, right on your laptop's graphics card. Welcome to the new era of hyper-efficient AI. Welcome to our deep dive for today.
Yeah, it is an incredibly exciting time to be following this stuff.
I am thrilled you are joining us for this conversation.
Hmm.
Today's mission explores a massive technological shift. We are exploring the sheer efficiency sweeping the AI landscape.
We really have a truly fascinating roadmap to cover today. The pace of innovation right now is absolutely relentless.
We are tracking the rapid rise of lean compute environments. We will start with a breakdown of NVIDIA's staggering new model. It is called the Sana WM World Model.
Right, the ultimate proof that bigger is not always better.
Then we will connect that hyper-efficiency to broader industry shifts. OpenAI is moving their servers into local physical environments. Highly complex quantum chemistry is becoming completely democratized for everyone. We'll even cover a high-stakes billionaire courtroom drama.
We should probably begin with NVIDIA's ultimate proof right now. Bigger is clearly not always better in the AI space anymore.
NVIDIA just open-sourced the incredibly impressive Sana WM generative model. Sana WM stands for Sana World Model. It contains only 2.6 billion parameters in total.
That is radically small by today's AI industry standards. I mean, most leading models use hundreds of billions of parameters.
It takes one single image and a camera trajectory. Then it outputs a crisp 720p minute-long video sequence.
The lean compute details here are just absolutely stunning. They trained it using just 64 H100 GPUs.
Let's pause and just think about that for a second. 64 GPUs is a remarkably tiny computational cluster today.
Yeah, it really is. The entire training process took only 15 days total. That completely redefines our baseline expectations for model training.
They also use a shockingly small dataset for this project. It learned from just 213,000 public clips.
That is a tiny fraction of typical training data volumes. Most models, they scrape millions of videos from the internet.
But the deployment phase is where it gets really crazy.
You can deploy this entire system on a single H100. It even runs smoothly on a consumer RTX 5090 card.
They achieve this using something called NVFP4 quantization. Let's make sure we define that for our listeners. It is a method to shrink math and save computer memory.
Right, and that shrinking process preserves the model's intelligence perfectly. Generating a 60-second clip takes exactly 34 seconds.
Rendering high-definition video faster than real-time is a massive breakthrough.
Absolutely. It rivals heavy industrial baselines that require massive server farms.
I want to understand how they achieve this incredible efficiency. First is the hybrid linear attention mechanism they developed. We need to define that jargon clearly as well. A method to remember long videos without crashing your computer memory.
Exactly. It combines specific attention layers to maintain physical consistency. It keeps the AI from forgetting the geometry of the room.
The second core design is the dual-branch camera control system. This ensures the AI perfectly follows your requested camera path.
It uses a general branch for your broader camera direction, and a highly detailed geometric branch for the smaller pixels.
They also used a highly robust data annotation pipeline system.
They extracted accurate camera poses directly from standard public videos. This gives the AI incredibly high-quality action labels for training.
The underlying training methodology is also fascinating to break down. They achieved this using metric scale pose supervision techniques.
This means the AI understands physical space and depth accurately.
It is not just guessing how objects should look together. It actually maps out the solid geometry of the entire scene.
That is precisely why the camera movements feel so incredibly smooth. Think about the autonomous motion in these generated worlds. Picture a winding dirt path inside a magical mushroom forest.
Okay, I am picturing that in my mind.
Colossal mushroom stems rise up like giant tree trunks everywhere. A lantern-lit village is nestled deep in the background. Glowing spores drift slowly across the purple twilight sky. Giant, colorful butterflies flap their wings gracefully overhead.
And the camera tracks through this scene perfectly smoothly.
Perfectly smoothly. They also demonstrated a prompt featuring a flooded sci-fi facility.
What does the lighting look like in a scene like that?
You see an abandoned underground research bunker at a crossroads. Cold blue emergency lights wash over the flooded passage constantly. Water ripples across the floor with perfect physical accuracy. Steam drifts slowly through the metal corridor on the right.
That requires a massive understanding of spatial geometry to render.
It really does. There is another one featuring a deserted tropical beach. A long, mysterious drag mark carves a path into the vegetation.
Wow. It is generating all of these distinct physical details instantly.
Small, glowing blue shells are embedded along the sandy trail. Waves wash over the sand while palm fronds sway naturally.
They also generated a vast abandoned shopping mall atrium, right?
Yeah, the space has been completely reclaimed by dense, lush vegetation. A quadcopter hovers above the debris-strewn central floor area. Sunbeams pour through the damaged glass roof overhead.
The lighting effects in these demonstrations are incredibly cinematic overall.
Picture the snowy shore of a frozen alpine lake now. A solitary red wooden door stands centered far out on the ice. Lavender blue dusk light blends with warm golden light from the door. Snowflakes fall naturally while pine boughs tremble in the heavy wind.
2-sec silence.
Oh!
Whoa! Imagine generating a full minute of a living, breathing alien swamp in 34 seconds.
It kind of feels like pure magic, but it is just brilliant engineering.
How does Sana keep the video from melting into a hallucinated mess after 10 seconds?
It uses a fascinating and complex two-stage fidelity pipeline. A massive 17 billion parameter-long video refiner steps in afterward. This refiner actively sharpens the textures and the motion. It specifically fixes the late window quality issues you mentioned.
So the first model drafts the video and a larger one polishes the details.
That is exactly how the architecture manages the compute load.
Sana proves that powerful AI doesn't need to live in the cloud anymore. The rest of the industry is definitely taking the hint.
They are finally handing control directly back to you. The broader AI shift is moving toward local and lean environments.
We can clearly see this with what OpenAI Codex is doing. They are moving their coding models on premises with Dell servers.
Teams can run AI agents directly on their internal hardware. They can automate complex coding and reporting workflows entirely in-house.
This keeps the agents incredibly close to their sensitive internal data. Let's dig deeper into the philosophy behind this specific partnership.
Historically, OpenAI guarded its models behind cloud application programming interfaces. You always had to send your private data to their servers.
But major enterprise customers push back hard against that requirement. They have strict compliance and data sovereignty laws to follow.
So Dell is physically bringing the AI to the data instead.
Imagine having the full power of Codex running locally downstairs.
It can analyze your internal code base without ever connecting externally.
Google is also aggressively embracing this philosophy of direct user control. Gemini just added a brand new thinking level toggle feature.
This is a fascinating update to their user interface design. It lets you pick exactly how deep the model reasons.
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself, so being able to manually dial in a thinking level sounds like an absolute lifesaver.
It completely changes your relationship with the artificial intelligence. You are now acting like a manager directing an employee's effort.
We are rapidly moving past the simple black box chat interface.
It also saves massive amounts of unnecessary compute costs overall. You only use heavy reasoning power when you actually need it.
Why is OpenAI suddenly pushing physical, on-premises Dell servers when the cloud has been their whole business model?
It really all comes down to enterprise security and absolute trust. Big companies desperately want to use this new workflow automation, but they absolutely refused to send proprietary code to external servers. They need physical hardware sitting securely in their own controlled facilities.
Right. Big companies want their data locked down on their own physical hardware.
That is the only way they will adopt these tools.
Hardware and compute power are becoming highly accessible locally now. At the same time, complex tasks are being rapidly democratized everywhere.
We are seeing an incredible API ecosystem developing right now. Advanced scientific tools are becoming as simple as text chat applications.
Sandbox AQ just integrated their quantum chemistry tools inside Claude.
This is a massive leap forward for scientific research accessibility.
Researchers can now explore complex molecules and reactions much more easily.
You no longer need a PhD in computing to operate them. You can trigger complex explorations using very simple chat commands.
That removes a massive historical barrier to entry entirely.
Quantum chemistry involves incredibly complex calculations of molecular behavior. It is absolutely essential for developing new drugs and new materials.
But the barrier to entry has historically been exceptionally high.
By putting these tools inside Claude, that barrier disappears completely. A high school student could theoretically start designing new molecules today. The agent handles all the complex mathematical translation behind the scenes.
But these democratized tools require perfect underlying agent infrastructure.
Right, the AI agent is completely useless if it cannot communicate properly.
That brings us to Anthropic's recent corporate acquisition moves. They just purchased a crucial infrastructure company called Stainless recently.
This acquisition is specifically designed to boost their Claude agent's reliability. Since 2022, Stainless has powered every single official SDK.
Let's make sure we define what an SDK actually is. A pre-built toolkit for software to talk to other software.
They have helped hundreds of companies build reliable application interfaces. They support TypeScript, Python, Go, Java, and even Kotlin programming languages.
This highlights exactly why Anthropic needed to buy Stainless right now.
If Claude is running quantum chemistry, the software connections must hold. An API failure during a complex simulation would be absolutely disastrous.
Think of Stainless like a highly skilled universal translator.
That is a perfect analogy for what they actually do. They ensure instructions translate perfectly into Python or Java without errors.
Anthropic makes top-tier AI. Why do they need to acquire a company just to manage their SDKs and APIs?
Because an AI agent is useless if it can't reliably talk to other software. Stainless builds the ultra-reliable bridges that allow Claude to actually execute tasks. It ensures smooth communication across many different programming languages very reliably.
Agents need rock-solid bridges to other software, and Stainless builds those bridges.
Exactly.
Sponsor.
While the models themselves are getting much leaner, the financial stakes are skyrocketing.
The security risks behind the scenes are also reaching astronomical levels.
The industry heavyweights are placing billions of dollars in play today.
Google and Blackstone are currently teaming up on a massive project. They're building a $5 billion AI cloud infrastructure company together.
We can expect it to run exclusively on custom Google chips.
They'll go head-to-head with CoreWeave and other major cloud providers.
The sheer scale of the Google and Blackstone deal is staggering. $5 billion is an unbelievable amount of upfront capital investment. But building modern AI infrastructure requires exactly that kind of money. Data centers need massive power supplies and highly specialized cooling systems.
By running exclusively on Google chips, they control the whole stack.
They're avoiding reliance on highly expensive external hardware entirely. They want to escape the current hardware monopolies dominating the market.
Security is another critical area where the investments are growing rapidly.
The Pun2Own Berlin 2026 conference just revealed some truly shocking numbers.
They paid hackers nearly $1.3 million total.
That money was awarded for finding exploits in major digital systems. They aggressively targeted AI models, Windows, Linux, VMware, and Nvidia systems.
Top hacking teams like DevCore and Starlabs SG scored big payouts. They each walked away with $200,000 in prizes.
The Pun2Own results highlight a critical hidden vulnerability in the ecosystem. As we move AI locally, the attack surface expands massively worldwide.
Hackers can now target the smaller models running directly on your hardware.
Paying $1.3 million for exploits is completely rational. Discovering those critical flaws early prevents catastrophic data breaches down the line.
We also need to discuss the ongoing legal drama unfolding. The Elon Musk versus Sam Altman lawsuit has finally concluded. We are not taking sides here, just looking at the facts of the verdict.
The trial ended with a definitive jury win for Altman and OpenAI.
The jury found absolutely no liability for the alleged contract breaches.
A staggering $134 billion in claims were dropped.
That is a massive financial weight lifted off the company.
The initial claims against OpenAI were incredibly broad and very aggressive.
The jury ultimately found OpenAI stayed true to its operational contracts.
It removes a major legal cloud hanging over the company's immediate future.
However, Musk has already stated clearly that he plans to appeal.
That planned appeal means the story is not completely finished yet. The fierce legal battles over the future of AI will definitely continue.
Does a $5 billion Google and Blackstone cloud company pose a direct threat to OpenAI's dominance?
It's a completely different battleground when you look closely at it. Google and Blackstone are trying to own the foundational physical infrastructure. They want to deeply control the physical chips that power the cloud. They aren't just fighting over the consumer-facing chatbot layer you interact with.
They are competing to own the physical roads, not just the AI cars.
That is exactly right. They want to own the foundational grid.
Let's bring all these complex threads together for the big idea.
The era of the unwieldy monolith is rapidly fracturing apart today.
It is transforming into something much more interesting for everyone involved.
Power is steadily shifting away from distant black box server farms entirely.
We see Sana WM generating full visual worlds on standard consumer hardware. It runs efficiently on a standard RTX 5090 graphics card.
OpenAI Codex is moving directly into local physical Dell server racks.
Quad is running complex quantum chemistry simulations for everyday regular users.
The entire software ecosystem is moving directly into the hands of the user.
Local hardware is finally becoming the true center of digital innovation. The future of artificial intelligence is exceptionally lean and highly localized.
It's an incredibly exciting time to be following these rapid technological developments. The tools are getting smaller, faster, and much more accessible everywhere.
Beat, if a 2.6 billion parameter model can generate an entire, spatially and temporally coherent 60-second visual world on a laptop today, what happens in 5 years when millions of these hyper-efficient local models link together? Could the internet of the future stop being a place we browse and start being a tapestry of personal realities we instantly generate on the fly?
That is an incredibly profound paradigm shift to consider. We are just seeing the very beginning of this new reality.
Thank you so much for joining our deep dive today. Keep questioning your assumptions and always keep exploring new ideas. Outro music.